Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this special edition of Zahn Academy. Today, we're going to be bringing to you the missing piece in automation, and I'm very happy to introduce my presenters today, Mark Palmer, who is our VP and General Manager of Zahn, and Travis Iverson, who is the CEO and the Director of Operations for Iverson Biomedical. They have prepared a bunch of poll questions, and we're definitely going to need that information from you, especially for Mark's portion. He'll be doing a live ROI. So if you wouldn't mind, when we do launch those, if you could please answer them for us. There will also be a live Q&A at the end of this presentation. So if you have any questions, please type them in at the bottom of your screen. And I'm going to turn this over to Mark. Thank you so much for joining us.
Sounds good, Fran. Thank you for the introduction. How many people do we have on board?
I'm sorry, we have about 18 customers on board right now.
All right, great. So I think we had almost 50 register, so hopefully we'll get some more joining as we go here.
Oh, we got just pulling in as we speak now, so they'll be filing in.
Perfect. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
So I'd like to start out giving a brief introduction to myself, and then we've also got the Director of Operations from the manufacturer on the call here as well, so we're going to bring him in. But first off, my name is Mark Palmer, VP General Manager here at Zahn Dental. Love bringing laboratories, lots of product, love bringing technology, love bringing things like this that actually will save labor time with good ROIs for the laboratory. So we're looking forward to demonstrating the capabilities from a production perspective, how this can help you automate some of those processes in your laboratory, how this can help you reallocate some of the labor in your laboratory. Labor is tough to come by, but sure would be nice to have them doing more profitable things than polishing a night guard or a denture or glazing a crown. So looking forward to showing you the power of this technology. And Travis, if you just want to give yourself a quick introduction, we'll get started.
You got it. Thanks, Mark, and thanks, Fran. I'm Travis Iverson, and I'm the Director of Operations of Iverson Biomedical and Iverson Dental Laboratory. And we're really excited about this technology, and we've been able to save hundreds and thousands of hours of man labor by automating post processes for a lot of different most products in dentistry. So we're looking forward to a great evening and showing that.
Thank you, Travis. All right, we'll get started. I'm just a quick introduction here to Zahn Dental, just in case we've got some new people on board. But everything you need in one place. We've got over 3 million square feet of distribution facilities. We've got 5 different distribution centers across, strategically located around the country with super cool technology. There's another podcast we do where actually do only on the technology, how these boxes get weighed as they go through these miles and miles of conveyor belts. And if something doesn't weigh right, that means that the product inside it isn't what was expected to. So all kind of cool technology on storing those things. We got financial services, technical support training, education like what we have here. We've got 18 support members to support 3Shape, ExoCAD now, all kind of cool stuff. So just a quick little introduction there. I think everybody knows Zahn, and you guys are all customers from what we saw on the registration. So just wanted to touch on a couple of those things before we got started into, automating your lab. So real quick, what can we do? So that top left denture, printed and or analog, it's about the same from a production perspective, and we'll get into details as Travis gets into his part. But depending on these units, as we go through tonight, we're going to talk about a 250, which is the smaller unit, and a 500, which is just a little bit larger. They're actually double the size. So production-wise, everything's going to be double. So as you can see here on the dentures, we can do 120 a day on the smaller unit or 240 on the larger unit. We like that the larger unit better, right? We're doing these things. The dentures are going to be able to get you more per production route. You're going to have bends in here that we'll take a look at in a minute, but each one of the barrels, can hold up to 4 dentures on the smaller unit and 8 dentures on the larger unit. Partials up to 96 in an 8-hour day. And then also, as we can see down there at the bottom, crown and bridge, we can do a lot of those. We can do up to 3,200 in a day. I had a laboratory actually that uses this. They don't do glazing anymore. Their doctors love it. They're using it for finishing all their zirconia. And in our LMT magazine, I put one of our ads in there said, if you're doing at least 50 crowns a day, the ROI works out for you to actually have a benefit by utilizing this machine over the labor that it would do. And my lab called me up to like 50 crowns a day, Mark. I've done like 500 this morning already. What are you talking about? Only 50 crowns a day. So these users really love the machine. Our customers love it. It becomes almost like a mini cult for us, talking about the production and the savings and all the kind of good stuff that come from it. But what's going on in the industry that this solves, right? We got labor shortages, rising costs out there of materials, rising cost of glaze. We saved, one laboratory, thousands and thousands of dollars in MEO. The ROI justified itself just on the material they were using to glaze the crowns. Also, insufficiencies in manually polishing and finishing. Not only are we producing a more cost-effective from a production and a labor, product, but it's also a better product. Gordon Christensen's got an article says, it's better for the adjacent teeth. It's better for the opposing arch. The glaze wears off. The polish does not. So we're giving the doctors a better product with less effort and less work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over to just the key benefits that we're going to be talking about throughout this thing is productivity, cost savings, and standardize, right? The AutoFinish is going to finish all 24 of those dentures at the same time with the same quality. What I'm going to do is pass this over to Travis, and he's going to dive into the website a little bit and show off a few more products.
Thank you, Mark. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And so I'm going to real quickly show you the 250 and 500. And as Mark said, it's double the capacity, but it's only about 6 inches squared larger. So the barrel size is a couple inches larger, which allows that volume and double the capacity. So there's a lot of benefit to the 500, especially if you're primarily doing removables and larger objects. We use our 250 in our laboratory for primarily zirconia and smaller items. And so that's how it works out for us. So going through some of the products, I want to hit the gallery really quick because I'm really excited about the validated materials and products that continue to grow and we continue to validate. So this is a PolyJet 3D printed denture. So you've got your Trusana 1, your TrueDent. You've got all of the PolyJet prints. You can actually take this from build tray, remove the support material, and go directly to a high shine polish, which is amazing. Going back to this, what we love about auto finishing zirconia is the fact that when you're doing model free, we had doctors complain about pooling glaze in the contact areas and having higher seat times. And so what this does, when you auto finish the zirconia and take it to this high shine, as you can see, remember, there's no glaze on here. That is an auto finish surface. But when you auto finish it,
make sure that you're always wearing goggles or safety glasses and
pooling and glaze in the contacts, and it's going to cause seating issues or occlusion issues even. So going down here, and we'll kind of skip through this quickly. This is a conventional denture. So whether it's hand-packed acrylic or injected, and you can see you're not losing any of the characterization in there. So any stippling or rugae or anything else that you may be putting in that conventionally packed denture, you're going to get a more consistent finish than a manual polish, and that's really important to point out. So all of our full cast crowns, again, are polished by the AutoFinish. while we're at it, non-precious. So we've got big alloy companies, big zirconia companies looking to incorporate AutoFinish into their, without naming names, into their workflows as well. So in our laboratory, we only use PolyJet print hybrid provisionals. So again, from build tray to ship, well, with the exception of placing the tie bases, of course, we take it through that process, and there is no palaseal, no anything else, and there's no post-process finish other than AutoFinish. So really exciting. So partial frameworks. So you can either electropolish first and then AutoFinish, or you can just AutoFinish it and you will get this amazing shine. And what I like about electropolishing first is the rugae and the stippling that's in the palette. It actually comes out with a higher shine if you electropolish first. So I love this image because everybody says, well, does it damage the restoration? Even things as delicate as ball clasps, they maintain their integrity in the AutoFinish. And then last but certainly not least, your flexible partial dentures. So every technician that I talk to worldwide hates TCS, Valplast finishing, and everything else. And we have actually validated all of these materials, including Flexite, which is printed for AutoFinish. So again, it goes from unfinished to a high shine finish. Actually, I went backwards to a high shine finish. So those are most of all of the validated materials. We've recently validated titanium abutments and bars, and we're constantly validating for the AutoFinish community. When people are asking for it, we look to deliver. And with the exception of Emax and PFMs, which are not indicated for the AutoFinish, everything else has been validated. So I'm gonna kick it, or actually, do we want to go through media right now, Mark, or should I let we go back to this?
I'm gonna ask you a couple questions and then let's take a look at media too. So
Yeah, of course.
But first, tell us a little bit, what's the difference between this machine and like a traditional tumbler? How is this working better than a traditional tumbler?
That's a great question. So I had some guys in Chicago last year talk about some conventional tumbling, and we have done it in the past as well. One of the differences is this is a vertical centrifugal force barrel finishing as opposed to a gravity-fed tumbler. And there's a huge difference. They sound the same, but they're actually very different. So ours uses centrifugal force and is vertical and doesn't allow gravity to harm in a traditional tumbling. And it's amazing. So we had a guy last year in Chicago talking about partial frameworks, and he said, man, I love it, but I'm the only one that can operate it because then I can go back to my model and bend my clasps back. And so we don't see any clasp. We maintain all of the integrity of ball clasp or traditional clasps, and there's never anything that has to be bent back or fixed. So that's the biggest difference.
So the product is basically levitating in a centrifugal force instead of gravity banging against each other, landing on top of each of the products, right?
That's exactly right. The gravity will have them come down faster and inconsistently and smash against each other in a barrel finish, where the centrifugal force allows, and also the engineering and design of the barrels allows it to finish consistently in a vertical rather than that harsh tumbling.
And how long have you been using this in your laboratory?
So we're on our 7th year of using AutoFinish and validating materials. And every product that you see here, day in and day out, they are finished by our AutoFinish, and then they ship from our door with absolutely no, we may take a look at them from a quality control process, but we typically quality control them before they go in AutoFinish to make sure that our contacts, occlusion are there, fits good, and everything else. Because again, the AutoFinish is so consistent with maintaining the integrity, there's no reason to final quality control after AutoFinish.
Nice. And then a couple questions we get quite often is about support. So there's two things to support. One is like a mechanical, and then the second is, you know, what we're going to get into in a second, recipes and things like that. So first off, mechanical, with those 7 years of having the machines there, you know, what does your support look like, and what do you anticipate for our customers going forward?
Yeah, that's good. So I'm glad you touched on that. These machines are built as strong as they get. The large one's 900 pounds, the smaller one's a little over 700 pounds. And the only reason I bring up the weight of them is just to show how robust and how strong they are. So these machines will typically last you 20 to 25 years running 8 hours a day with little to no maintenance. And so every 2 months we check the tension on the belt, and then we also check and grease the bearings. And in the 7 years that we've been using both of our machines, so the first machine we've had for 7 years, the second one we've had for 3 or 4 years now. And we have not had to replace a belt or any bearings with that every other month quick maintenance. And it's literally like 5 minutes. So yeah, I can't speak enough about the manufacturing of it. As far as capital equipment goes, there's nothing like it that requires less maintenance and comes so ready for immediate ROI with the touchscreen recipes and everything else.
All right, and that gets me to the second part of the support question, right? So now, you know, how do I figure out how much time to put it on for? Are there different speeds to the machine? You know, how do we work through all that? And I'll let you answer it as you're jumping into those recipes.
Yeah, of course. So I'm going to jump into the recipes right here. So once you become part of the user, part of the AutoFinish community, you'll get these recipe documents and you will be able to access these. And this will give you all of the recipes for each one. So the 4 things that come up when you're doing AutoFinish is RPMs, runtime, media, and compound, also known as soaps. Those are the 4 variables that allow you to validate different materials and, you know, slow or speed it up, run it longer, run it shorter. And so these are what allowed us to validate all of these materials and come up with recipes. And these are, we wanted to come up with a starting point and allow laboratories the freedom to go in and adjust these for their own. Laboratories love to tweak things and make them better for their specific material or whatever, and you're certainly welcome to do that. But I'll start with acrylic dentures and partial denture processing as an example of one of the recipes that we do. So you can see here, it shows here at the top that it 45 minutes total runtime and a total of 2 steps. So the first step is a refined process with what we call the DMPP10, or what I like to refer to as the pink pyramids. And this is very similar in a manual process of like a rubber wheel, if you were using a hand piece or a bench lathe. And so you will run this for 30 minutes in the refined process, and then you will put it into the DMRC17 or the porcelain media and run it for an additional 15 minutes to come up with the high shine. And so the 30 minutes plus the 15 obviously comes out to the 45 minutes. And so each one of these materials and validated materials has a unique recipe that allows you to come up with a great result. So going back to, we'll use another one. Let's go to zirconia.
Hey, while we're talking too, Fran, any questions yet from the audience? If not, everybody, you got that chat section. If you want to drop something in the middle of this, that way we don't have to go back. If you've got any questions, feel free to interject.
Yeah, so far no questions, but type them in at just that Q&A section. We'd be happy to answer them.
Yeah, and please don't be shy. If this is the first time being exposed to AutoFinish, ask the questions, because I work with this every day, day in, day out, and I forget some of the most basic things. So please type those questions in so we can answer them. So
Hey,
on zirconia.
One more question. Will you say pink pyramids one more time?
Yep. You like the pink pyramid?
I'm just messing with you.
It's just easier to remember than the PP10, right?
Yeah. Just
so
kidding.
zirconia, 60 minutes. So it was kind of cool today. We got in an order from a zirconia company. They sent us 400 units of zirconia to AutoFinish today, and they're going to be in Chicago. They're giving USB things out with AutoFinish on it and everything else. But here's the great news. It took my technicians 1 hour to finish 400 units of zirconia that are going to be passed out in Chicago. So, you know, can you imagine the amount of porcelain ovens and glaze and everything else it would take to finish that many units? It was incredible. And we were able to get it done in an hour and send it out the same day. So pretty impressive. And
We
then
have a question. We do have a question, guys. I don't know if you want to answer this right now, but Michael wants to know, what is the max load for the 500 and how many loads at a time can you polish?
so, you know, that's kind of a loaded question, but let's start with this. Going back to the dentures, and it'll actually show you the capacity. So you're going to run on the 500, you're going to run 6 per barrel. And so then in every recipe, you're going to have the type of media, you're going to have the capacity of 6 per barrel, you're going to have where to put the water, the compound or the soap, so 4 tablespoons of that, and then the recipe. So you're going to have the capacity in each one of these, and each one's different. So let's go into flexible partial dentures. It's a very good question, by the way. So again, this is 6 per barrel, and then it's a 3-step process. So you go through the cut media, which is similar to a grinding disc. Pink Pyramids, as Mark loves, the DMPP10, and then the high shine polish. So I want to get to one that doesn't have, you know, let's go to mill.
From a time saving perspective, Travis, as you're going through these products, what do you see the most, like which product that you like, the flexible partials you were just on, which product is it you see the most savings on labor in on just one? Like, I know you probably do more dentures or more this or more that, but if you had to pick one product for your team over there too, if they had to say, I would never want to do this product again, which one is that?
Yeah, I mean, it would for sure be flexible partials. My whole team would say, you know, the day that we validated all of those materials it was like an aha moment for everyone. And it took some time. You know, we were in the process, we got them 75, 80% there. But when we nailed it at 100%, it's for sure flexible partials. But, you know, here's the real answer. You know, are you a crown and bridge lab? Is it zirconia? Are you an implant lab? Is it titanium and zirconia? Are you a fully removables lab? Are you only an AOX lab that's just doing, you know, provisionals and zirconia? What's the fit? So I think it's more specific tailored to the client and what their laboratory is producing, rather so much than a product, because it does all products amazing, and it saves an amazing amount of time on all of them. Look, at technology is great, and I say this all the time in our laboratory. Technology is great, but if it's not saving us time and money and or both and getting the same or better results, then don't implement it. And I can guarantee you with the AutoFinish, you will see all of that. Cost savings, you will see a more consistent and better finish. And it's going to save you time and money. Your technicians are going to ultimately love it.
We have another question. The majority of my doctors want stain and glaze only. How do you suggest we combat that challenge with polish only?
So that's kind of a loaded question. And again, and I keep saying that, but number one, when we're talking about stain and glazes, are we talking about stain and glaze because we're trying to match a color? Are we trying to get to a shade? Is it in the posterior? Is it in the anterior? So I'm going to answer it by saying this. The vast majority of doctors will love the polished zirconia. It becomes a learning curve. And so it doesn't matter if it's anteriors. It doesn't matter if it's posteriors. Send them both. Send them a glazed and then send them an AutoFinish polished unit and have them try both and seat the one they like the best. And I'll guarantee you, at very least, it will start a great conversation about how they will accept AutoFinish. When you polish a zirconia crown, it comes with this pearlescence type shade, and it disappears in the mouth like a glazed finish cannot. And so I'm not here to tell you polished is better than glazed or glazed is better than polished, because the bottom line is this: a case presentation, when it shows up at the doctor, there is no question that a glazed finish doesn't look better as a case presentation. But here's the deal: we're not putting crowns and leaving them in a box. We're putting them into a wet environment inside the patient's mouth. And I guarantee you the AutoFinish is going to look more natural with that pearlescence type finish, and you're going to get lower seat times, chair times. So, you know, I mean, listen, it is for sure a learning curve. Now, when you're talking about stain and glaze, we have a higher end product that we stain and glaze, and it's because of being able to match characteristics and things that you can't really do polishing, right? The other thing that you can do, and we do on occasion, is we auto finish it, and then we go back and do some staining without glaze. So you can not glaze, but add stain or add a little bit of stain to your glaze.
Gotcha. We've also had Jay Collins in one of his testimonials talks about it, and he's got hundreds and hundreds of doctors he sent the crowns to. He didn't advertise it. You know, one recommendation I have is to advertise the better product that you're releasing, the better for the patient product. And we've got some information on that too. But he didn't, and had several hundred doctors that he sent the crowns to, and had like one or two calls, and they're like, no, I like it. It just noticed it was different and wanted to ask you about it. So it actually turned out to a good thing to talk to those doctors about it as well.
Yeah, so bringing up Jay Collins, we were doing a preparation for the Chicago show, and Jay showed me a full 12-unit upper, 12-unit lower that he had used AI to design the crowns and then auto finish the crowns. And come see it in the ballroom in Chicago, guys. It's impressive. But you know, I think it was 3 through 14, and then 19 through 30 was all done with AI and then auto finish. So his cost of labor to produce these things was very low, and the crowns are gorgeous. So yeah, Jay Collins is putting it to the test, and you'll get to see him in Chicago as well.
Yeah, Travis, I think he said that the highest salaried person that touched that case was $20 an hour. So
Yep.
that was pretty crazy.
Yep.
We do have another question though, and this is on the media. Our attendee wants to know, how often do they have to change out the media? Is this every single time they use the machine?
That's a very good question. So let's go into medias a little bit, and we do have 4 medias that we basically discuss and keep our recipes to. So the ceramic angled cylinders and the pink pyramids, or you can obviously see their names, right? Pink pyramids. These deteriorate over time. And so none of these have to be necessarily replaced. You just want to add media to them as they start to go down and they start to deteriorate, and they last a long time. So you're going to see some deterioration in the plastic pink pyramids and also the ceramic angled cylinders. And what you'll find is, as they get a little bit smaller and a little bit worn down, and you add new media to it, it actually improves the finish because it can get into smaller areas and things of that nature. And then just quickly going over this, the porcelain cylinders, these last forever as long as your technicians are not dumping them in your plaster trap like mine do. And then also the stainless steel, which is used for removing polyjet support material, lasts forever as well. So again, the cost of ownership, and I think in the ROI you'll see this, but I think it costs about $10 per day in media deterioration and in soap usage to run 8 hours a day, which is a really low cost. I mean, you know, if you look at the cost of rag wheels and rubber wheels and grinding stones and rouge and, you know, Tripoli and the different polishes and things of that nature, although those costs are relatively low as well, at $10 a day, and the amount of finishing that you can do with the medias, it's almost insignificant. So I hope I answered that question well.
You did, Fran. I'm having a couple of hiccups on my side. Are you having any hiccups on your side, or internet seem to be working good?
No, the internet seems to be doing really well for me.
Yeah,
All
you're
right, okay.
getting a little bit of delay, Mark, but not crazy. It's still fine.
I had to text my teenage daughter. I should have stayed at the office. I came home to do this from the house, and that was a bad idea. Right, watching all kind of teenage shows upstairs. All right, you want to anything else on here? Do we want to kick it back over to me for a minute?
Anything else on the media? Any other questions on media or products or anything else? Otherwise, I'm going to kick it back to Mark.
No other questions on this side, so yes, let's kick it back to Mark.
That's how you try and really pull out a question, Travis. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'm giving the presentership back to Mark again. If you all right, share my screen now. Give me 1 second.
Oh, it caught you off guard. Sorry about that.
No. All good. So coming back here too, just another thing too, I'll drop it up here for a quick second. We got all the different products. We went into a few of them on that side, but there's tons of products that he's got certified over here. You know, runtime minutes, some nice little shortcuts over there as well. Then jumping right back into the PowerPoint. I'm not going to go through this whole video because it's like 10, 15 minutes, but I'm just going to show for a second here. In fact, I think I might have hit it while you were talking, Travis. If you guys heard something, that was.
Got it.
That you're always wearing goggles or safety glasses and gloves at all times.
Can you guys hear that while I play it or no?
Yep.
Perfect. Don't worry about listening too much, 'cause I'm going to jump through here, but I just want to kind of see let everybody see.
The first thing we're going to do is
process here.
measure the appropriate media in the barrel liner per the recipe. Then what we'll do is we'll load whatever objects we're going to run. In this case, it's a low impact 3D printed.
If you got really good employees too, you can go to that little gear button and speed up your employees every time you want to. And
we're going to take it over to the sink. We're just going to fill it with regular tap water until we're covering the objects, which is approximately 1.5 inches from the top of the barrel liner, this inner lip. So we'll go ahead and bring the barrel liner back over. And the last thing we're going to add is the appropriate soap for the recipe. Left side that this will slide into, and then you have 2 clamps on this side. The reason for 2 clamps is extra safety in case one of them fails. So we'll slide it in. We'll go ahead and
I'm clicking through this, but I just want to show you guys the how solid this machine is too. These barrels are solid. The whole machine is a workhorse.
There's 2 buttons here. These are actually locking mechanisms to secure the clamps all the way down. So if you're running one barrel, you have to make sure the opposing barrel has a weight to counterbalance the heavy media as they're loaded. Okay, depending on the recipe. So this is really going to be moving, and it can do some damage if these clamps flip open or all day. It's an extra safety check. Keeps everybody safe. Okay. So to operate the machine, I remove my gloves, or at least one of them, because I don't want to get the touchscreen all wet and messy.
Now you see how nice and customized this thing is for dental. Travis, what industry uses this the most, this technology?
So we actually took this from aerospace and the automotive industry. They use this a lot. The automotive industry also uses some massive machines from our manufacturer to, oddly enough, to AutoFinish wheels. So, or whatever process they want to call it. We call it AutoFinish. But yeah, it's aerospace and automotive. So when they built these machines, they had to be really robust. They couldn't be cheap things. And so there really is no other machines out there on the market of this level of quality or anything even close. So.
Perfect. That's all I'll show the video. I just want to get you guys a little bit of a touch and feel for how that is. And now let's do a quick ROI. Erica, will you post the first of the poll questions? And all we're going to do here, guys, is I've got this thing built. We'll do 1 or 2 of these. Just take a minute. And we're going to choose a product. First off, what does the first poll question say, Fran?
So what is the average salary of a removable finishing technician?
All right, so
Per
removable.
hour.
So
So
what do
I'm
you
going to
think?
launch this out. And here we go. Leave it up for about 30 seconds. If you wouldn't mind just answering.
And then Travis, while she's doing that, what do you want to do? You want to do a acrylic denture, or what would you like to do?
I think everybody's talking about printed dentures. I think that's the mainstay. I think, but you know, it's up to you. Most
Let's
people
do
are
it.
still doing traditional dentures, so
We've argued enough today, man. We don't need to argue anymore. What do you think? 3D printed denture?
yeah, let's do a 3D printed denture this time.
All right. 3D low impact, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
So I just want to give you the results so that you can put in the results. It seems that it's 33% down the board from $20 to $25, $25 to $30, $35 to $40. So it's split.
All right, well, Fran, time to earn your keep here on the presentation. Take a pick, which one you want.
I'm going to go in the middle, 25 to 30.
We'll say 30 since it was kind of going up from that way too. So perfect.
Yeah.
All right, and then how about what's your next question?
Okay, so we're going to launch the next, and this one is, how many printed dentures do you produce daily? 5 to 10, 10 to 20, 30 plus. If you wouldn't mind, please answering.
The last time we did this, I was able to answer. Now you got me blocked. Like every time I go to click it, it moves on me.
I rigged it this time.
You did rig it.
Okay, it seems that 60% say 5 to 10. 40% say 10 to 20. I'm going to end this poll.
Okay.
All right, so we're doing 10 dentures a day. Is that what we said?
Mm-hmm.
And then actual time to complete. Last question.
How long does it take your technician to finish and polish one printed denture? 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour plus. You wouldn't mind? Thank you.
I'm interested to see the answer on this one.
Me too.
So guys, 67% say 45 minutes. And nope, now it's split. So 50% say 30 minutes, 33% say 45 minutes, and 17% say an hour plus.
Yep. I think all of that is it's right about where it would be.
All right.
So most people say 30 minutes now.
So
All
let's
right. So doing 10 dentures a day. We're doing 45 minutes to finish the product.
Mm-hmm.
Doing an hourly rate of about $30, which that hourly rate's crazy. You know, I get California, they tell me a really high number, and you know, I went to school in Mississippi, and so do my kids. So I can say Mississippi, they say a little bit lower number sometimes. But we'll say $30 here. So I'm gonna hit enter, and this will go ahead and do some calculations for me here. I've got so basically this is going to just zoom out a hair here so I can see the other side of the screen. So break even, just doing only 10 dentures on this machine. So occupying what, hour and a half of the machine, Travis, during a day, and a small load. If it was the 500, we could do up to 24 in one load. So doing a small amount, the cost savings here, break even where the machine has paid itself off, is just over a year, only doing 10 dentures a day. So 15 dentures.
Sorry to interrupt. Are you displaying your ROI calculator? Because we're seeing the pricing.
Yeah, I don't see the ROI calculator.
We're not seeing the ROI calculator. I want the audience to see what your calculations are.
Nope, I had that up while we were kind of putting stuff in there as well, but can you see it good now?
Cool.
I must have just shared the application instead of the screen, but yep. So just to show you guys, I put the 10 dentures in. I put 45 minutes, and I put $30 an hour. So it calculates that out for me and shows me the cost per unit is about $22.50 with those numbers. And then based on all this through here, I'm going to zoom out just a hair, and it's doing break-even point in 15 months. Over a 3-year period, I would save $80,000 in just labor. This also is accounting for the consumables, a question earlier, and everything else. So 80 grand you would save over 3 years only doing 10 dentures. Again, remember, we could do up to 24 in one load in an hour and a half or less. Let's do one more product. What do you want to choose here? You want to do Valplast or something? We don't have to do we don't have to put everybody through
Everybody's talking about zirconia all the time. Let's throw some zirconia in there. Everybody does zirconia if they're Crown and Bridge lab.
Sounds good. All right, we'll put you on the spot here. How many are you doing per day right now, Travis?
About 200.
and actual time per unit that you see if we're glazing them.
You're about 15 minutes. Let's call it 10 or 15 minutes.
Let's go 10.
Okay.
And then hourly rate, we'll stick with the same that we got from the audience earlier. Is that good? 30 bucks?
That's fine.
All right. So now if you throw in 200 crowns, that breaks my break-even point down to 3 months. And I'm just under, in 3 years, I'm just under an $800,000 savings in labor. Throwing these things into a polisher and letting it automate the process versus hand glazing these things.
And listen, that's my personal experience in Iverson Dental Lab is we literally save every 3 months the amount of money that we would be paying out in labor. Every 3 months we can pay for a machine, literally. And so that's your ROI calculation is very accurate.
Yep, and remember, this is doing how many? Can I do 200 in one run on the 250 or the 500? Travis?
You can do a lot more than that.
Yeah, yep, that's what I thought. So this is 2 runs on the machine. I got another, 7, 8 runs, depending on how many hours. I know labs. Most labs aren't 8-hour day labs.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. Let me just stop sharing and share one more time, so I'll make sure I get the right application sharing real fast.
So join us in Chicago because I want you to talk to other people in the AutoFinish community. And one of my favorite quotes that Philip Kim said is he says, AutoFinish isn't an alternative. It's going to be the standard in the dental lab industry. And I can't agree with him more. In our laboratory, it is the standard. And we believe not just in the US, but globally, this will be the standard in dental finishing.
How many people did we end up with on the call, Fran? How many people joined?
20 customers.
20 customers. Nice. All right, perfect. And then some other people just watching. So perfect. So this is the pricing I used in the ROI. I did not include the Chicago special here. So what we've got is the 250. Price is $49,999, and the 500. So much like what Travis said about the size, I think you said 4 inches smaller or bigger from one machine to the other. The price is also not a big difference because the mechanical portions and everything else is very similar in the machine. One's just a much higher production unit. What we've seen out there, we've got a couple customers that have put the 500 into their denture department, but then it was so successful and they were using it for crowns also, so successful they didn't want their people walking back and forth again. Right, so they wanted to add one, so they added the 250 into the zirconia area because the 250 could do just about as many crowns as you want to in a day. I think it's like 1,500-ish or something like that. So that works out well if you end up going for a second machine in the future and or off the bat. We do have multiple repurchases, which is always a positive thing about a product. So special pricing. This is through Chicago. So they put 212 on my PowerPoint here, but this is through Chicago. But the sooner we get this order in, the sooner we can get it into your laboratory. So the only additional price would be is if you're using the J5 from Stratasys, there's just one additional media criteria that we need to add for their support material and removing that.
That was that stainless media I showed you guys on the media screen. That's that stainless is in one-time purchase.
All right. Fran, I think we had one more poll. We were going to see how many of our customers wanted to borrow some money from another customer to put to go ahead and make the purchase tonight or something like. No kidding.
Yeah, I have something like that up there. So I want to know how many of you would like to be contacted, I would say tomorrow morning, to claim your AutoFinish and begin the contract with us. So that would be great.
And then all we're going to do is open it up for questions too. So if anybody's got any I've got a section 179 slide in here, but we don't need to get too deep into that. So we'll just open it up for any final questions as well while we're doing this. So you can either type them in now or on the next slide, either one.
And I just want to let everybody know that we have a great panel discussion with Travis and, 2 lab owners on Friday, Chicago Lab Day, 11:45 to 12:45 in our glass classroom, and that's ballroom E and F. We'd love to have you come and, mill around the ballroom, go to see Travis, go to see, the AutoFinish up close and personal, see some samples that you can, touch, hold, feel, and join us. We'd love to have you there.
I think Mark's buying drinks in that ballroom too, isn't he?
We are
Yes,
buying
well,
drinks in that
we do
ballroom.
have a cocktail party on Friday evening also from 5 to 6, and everybody's invited. And we'd love to have as many customers as we can to enjoy.
Yep, would love to see you guys. Would love to have the opportunity to shake your hand. Thank you for your business. Thank you for all your business. And talk to you about the AutoFinish and or any of our other products.
And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to any one of us, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that you have after this. Sometimes that happens, you forget, you have a question that comes to you later on.
Okay, I'll just move through my next slide. It's just section 179. This is a great piece of equipment that's going to improve your productivity. And then, while you've got some additional 2025 money to spend there, 1.25, it's a perfect opportunity to improve that labor. Again, remember that ROI, right? So the sooner you get this thing implemented, we've had some customers that I get on the phone with also, and they're like, we're going to purchase it 1,000% mark in April. And I'm like, all right, how many dentures? I go through that ROI. I'm like, all right, so you're going to lose $30,000 in labor between now and then. We could have paid for half the machine. So sooner the better on moving forward with this thing, getting comfortable with it, getting your doctors happy with your products, and making yourself more efficient. Travis, any closing comments?
Nope. Come see us in Chicago. I'd love to talk to you more about the AutoFinish in person and show you all of these products in person and get you started, show you how to get started as quickly as possible in your laboratory.
Perfect.
Yep.
I just have one more. You can make an appointment. We can give you a call, see, and speak to Travis and Mark, even at Lab Day. We'd love to see you. And I say make an appointment just because Mark is just so busy there. We're just going to have to lasso him in to
I'm
make
trying to
an
stay
appointment, right?
I'm trying to stay away from vendors other than Travis and trying to stick with my customers, because otherwise I get pulled in too many different directions. But hey, everybody on the East Coast, thanks for staying late. On the West Coast, thanks for hopping on with us. Appreciate everybody's business and appreciate everybody's time.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much for joining us here. Have a
Thank you,
great
Fran.
day.
Thank you, Travis.
Thank you, Fran. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Fran. Good night.
Good night.